Hello everybody, my name is Bill. Welcome back to the NCAA Football '07 Dynasty Mode explanation series. We're in week 2, and as you can see, we work quick out of the gates for the Bobcats, knocking off number 1 Texas 224 to nothing in the season opener. And we will actually go ahead and first explore the key games from the previous week. As we wait for it to load, there it goes. Let's go ahead and head back. Go to the play week. As with this, like I said, one of the key games was us against Texas. And as you can see, I won that one handily, 224 to nothing, as you saw in the little newspaper. Louisiana Tech versus Stanford, I had as another key game, and Louisiana Tech won that one, 41-17. The next one I had was San Jose State versus USC, and they actually kind of held their own a bit. At 35-7, not as big as a blowout as some of these other games, as you can see, like Oklahoma against Mississippi Valley State, 63-7. Tennessee beating up on Southern Illinois, 56-3. You know, Oklahoma State beating up on Tennessee, 37-0. You know, and yet my blowout was bad as well, but it was at least a ranked team, not an FCS school. You know, my next key game was Oregon and Boise State. As you see, before that one was Georgia and Appalachian State, where Georgia wins 42-7, and Oregon won, despite my prediction of Oregon State pulling off the upset. You know, so I'm 3-1 when it comes to my predictions, because I predicted USC was going to win their game, Louisiana Tech was going to win, and of course me winning. And as you can see, in my last game I predicted was Arkansas versus Colorado, and the winner of that one, yeah, you see, 55-0 against an FCS school. Like, if you start off your year, at least start off against an actual team, you know, not some team where you're gonna see, like, they don't even have a player of the game, you know. Yeah, and the last game, like I said, was Colorado and Arkansas, which is all the way down here at the bottom. I'm just going slow enough. Up there it is. Arkansas ended up winning 35-24, so 3-2 to start off the year when it comes to my predictions. Not that bad. I'd rather be a game ahead of 500 than a game below it, you know. And now I'll show you my recruiting board a bit as well. Yeah, you see me having some guys I'm not even putting any points on, but that's mainly because of the fact that we need a wide receiver, and I chose to go after 5 of them. And Haley here, not showing much interest in school, so it's like I'm not gonna even try to waste any recruit points on you. And as you can see, there's one guy that I have with 16 points at wide receiver. If the game can just load fast enough for me to show y'all who this guy is, because if I'm thinking correctly, this is the guy that is game generated, 6'5". Once I saw that height, I'm like, gimme the guy, and I want to show off the guy to the recruiting. Thank you. Yeah, 6'5", 700. Oh wait, 6'5", 178 pounds. Sure, he's not showing much interest, but he's in our top 5. Oh, and A+ on hands. Wow. Okay, yeah. We need to go after this guy. We need to go after this guy a lot. Because Minnesota, Oregon, and Wyoming of all schools are going to be wanting to come after him. And a guy that size we need. We also got the 6'3" Greg Meeks out of Paradise, Nevada. 6'3", 205 pounds. A+ hands as well. Oh my god, if I get both these guys, the offense is going to be boosting out. We also have David Gallagher, 6'2", 190 pounds. And he looks like he's showing a lot of interest in us as well. If I can see what his hands are, if the game just chooses not to take so long to load. There we go. A+ hands as well, but he's showing a bit more favorability towards Ohio State. Let's see if I can be able to try to fix that in the future. And the other two wide receivers, I think, are also like 6'2", 6'3", as well. If the game can just go ahead and load fast enough. Because Neil, he's my top target. Mainly because of his height, 6'5". Like, how did many wide receivers you know that are 6'5"? Yeah, Willie Bates from Cynthiana, Kentucky. I have a good amount of points on him. A+ hands as well. Even though he's at the bottom. Me throwing all these points at him, probably not a good idea. Then we have Dion Calhoun, also 6'3". A+ hands as well. I kind of want Jensen as well, because he's 6'4", 280. Good guy to stop up the middle. And I got a feeling we're going to need a center at the end of the year. So Marcus Scott out of Bay Village, Ohio. We're going to try to get him. And that's basically all the guys I'm trying to get when it comes to recruiting. So now we will go from the recruiting to the coaches poll of the top 25 teams across the country. And we are starting off with it saying, yeah, Texas lost at home. As you see, we just jumped up to number 1. Florida State's now number 2. Oklahoma 3. Penn State's number 4. Wisconsin's number 5. Ohio State's number 6. 7th is Arizona State. 8th is Auburn. 9th is Michigan. 10th is Arkansas. 11th is Tennessee. 12th is Notre Dame. 13th West Virginia. 14th Iowa. 15th USC. 16th Missouri. 17th is Texas. They dropped 16 spots after we beat them. 18th is Florida. 19th is Oregon. 20th is Tampa Bay. 21st is Minnesota. 22nd is Oklahoma State. Mickey is 23rd. 24th is Colorado. They only dropped 6 spots. And rounding out the top 25 is Michigan State. And for the bottom 10, for the first few weeks I might do like reasonings for why each team's in the bottom 10. Instead of it just being like, oh, it's just because this team has a horrible record. Because early on in the year, you know, some of these losses could just be like an early loss. Like for Colorado, you know. So we will start off by going to the Mountain West and looking at TCU, who lost 45-21 to Samford. And that's the reason why they're here. You brought disgrace on the school for starting the year with a horrible loss to an FCS school, shooting yourselves in the foot and shooting your confidence for a good season. You know, like last year they were 3-9, so normally these FCS schools you're scheduled to beat, not to lose to. In second place, we have a team that is familiar with the bottom 10 in Idaho for scoring only 2 field goals on their 2 red zone possessions against Duke. If you're going to make it to the red zone, I say aim for touchdowns. Would have made the loss to Duke lesser if it was 21-14 instead of 21-6. Then I wouldn't have probably had something to grade y'all against. And number 3, we are going back to the conference we were at the beginning, the Independent. If I can just not zoom past by it, there we go. The only team with a loss, Army, for getting shut out in your season opener. Granted, with Bama, but still, you gotta have something to get going. I mean, I know they're not the best team in the world, and their quarterback only got 68 yards, and more than half of them was to Barkley. So, yeah. They need to do a little bit better on the offensive side of the ball. At number 4, we're going to go to the Big Ten for a team that didn't even play at all last week, Indiana. Because they currently have start off the year with a 9-game losing streak, dating back to last season. I just can't simply ignore that for the bottom 10. I'm sorry. Kind of gotta watch them a little bit for the losing streak, just to see how it goes. And now we go from the Big Ten to the Pac-10 with none other than UCLA for losing 59-26 at home to San Diego State. Granted, San Diego State's the Mountain West champions, but still, you don't need to let your foot off the gas for any game, and you just lost momentum heading into your big game against Tennessee in Knoxville. Now let's go back to the Mountain West for the next team on the list in BYU. So BYU, why be the way you are? You only got 3 field goals against Bowling Green, losing 48-9 and not scoring a touchdown. It's not a way to start off the year. They need to find the end zone, or this will be a long, long year for them. Also, Barrett, learn to throw to the correct team, because that's probably how Bowling Green got at most 21 of those points, because you threw 3 interceptions to them. And now we will go to the Sun Belt. Oh, excuse me there. For Louisiana Lafayette, for them having only 188 yards against Wyoming, who did deserve the win, but they weren't. But Louisiana Lafayette are not improving like I thought they would. They have to do better than that, and if they want to have any momentum heading to the conference schedule, and I can probably tell you they're going to be lucky to get 188 yards of offense against Texas. They're going to be looking to come in there and rip some heads after their loss to me. And number 8, another team that's kind of familiar with the bottom 10 in Boston College. I mean, a decent start, but not against a top 25 team in Tampa Bay. I mean, 24 points is good, you just don't need to allow 49. Reminds me of one time when my high school, McNary Central, it was homecoming of our junior year, I believe. We scored 49 points, which was great. The only problem, we allowed 70. So yeah, not the best ways to do a homecoming, and not a good best of starts for Boston College. Like I said, 24 points is good. It's just when you allow 49, it kind of knocks it away, And I say next time choose a better opponent, trying to build some morale for the team before you go into the ranked opponents, you know? I mean, their quarterback throwing only 134 yards. I mean, what you gonna do there, brother? And number 9, going back to the Pac-10 for Stanford with their loss to Louisiana Tech. They were just demolished 41-17. And I think they made the Pac-10 look a little bit bad for losing to a WAC team. You know? And yeah, sure, they are the defending WAC champions, but still, you know? And speaking of the WAC, it's time for an old friend of ours. San Jose State. I couldn't help but put them in the bottom 10, but at the same time, it's like, it's only 10th. It did decent, you know? It's like you get one win, all of a sudden you feel confident and a little cocky. You decide to open the year against ranked 16th USC. Bad move. I say next year, try a smaller team to open against. But hey, they managed to score, so there's some morale in there, you know? And with a rushing touchdown, too. So, now let's go ahead and get on to the key games. And what's the game decided to shoot me up to number 1, kind of ruined my revenge tour plan here, with me going against Florida State next. But I managed to find 5 good key games right here. And we are starting off with a surprising one in Bowling Green against Missouri. Both teams are riding big win streaks, the Falcons at 9 and the Tigers at 8. But Bowling Green has better composure on offense than Missouri does, because Bowling Green is a B- on offense and Missouri is C+, which I think is probably the lowest out of all ranked teams. And that should scare the Tigers a little bit. I mean, granted, the Tigers have a B+ defense, but Bowling Green's defense can match Missouri's offense. That should kind of be worrisome a little bit. And they only scored 2 touchdowns in their win against Illinois last week. They'll need to do a lot more than that to come out with the win. I think the Falcons will come into Columbia and pull out the upset that no one will ever expect. Then the next key game I see, kind of tempted to put that one in, but you know, some of these interconference matchups I choose not to because it might look ridiculous later on in the year. You know? But my next one is a big one as well. You know, it didn't make it UCLA versus Tennessee, because on paper it kind of looks like being a bit of a mismatch there. Bounce back game for Texas, like I said. Yeah, you look at all those stats and it's like, eesh. Yeah, they need to bounce back. Kind of thought about making this one of them, but I don't know if I should have or not. But here's the game. Jesus Christ, I had to scroll down a lot for that game. We have number 15 USC versus number 6 Ohio State. Both teams are coming off easy wins to start off the year and are in for an early season test of strength. For these teams, a loss may take them out of the national championship consideration, but not completely, I think. USC especially can't afford to lose since they're lower in the polls. Ohio State doesn't need to lose either, especially with how unpredictable the Big Ten can be. I mean, heck, you saw in the previous season that at 1 week Wisconsin was named the champ, and then they flipped it around saying Penn State was the champs. So, yeah, that's how unpredictable the Big Ten can be. They can't even decide their own champions. This heavyweight fight will easily have a lot of eyes on them. I say Ohio State will step it up at home in the horseshoe and win at home. In the next game, thankfully we don't have to scroll down that far because it's Oklahoma, ranked 3rd in the nation, against Miami. Oklahoma has a tough game here. Another one next weekend week against McNary Central. Like I said, it was a whole revenge tour thing that got ruined with the game immediately putting me at number 1. After what they thought the Bobcats did to their rival, they don't like what's waiting around the corner. But first, they have to weather the storm against the Hurricanes. Miami wants to start their year off right by upsetting the number 3 team in the nation, as they are wanting to be ranked again after starting last year ranked but fell out quickly. They want the Sooners to suffer the same fate, as they know the Bobcats will do that if they get the win. And funny enough, Miami started off ranked. I beat them and they fell out the polls. They're actually in the bottom 10 at the beginning of the series if you go back and watch the beginning of that. And I say Miami will pull off the upset as they have had the extra week to prepare. And the next game, I kind of threw in there because of the fact that it's a little interesting. Middle Tennessee State and Army. I mean, both teams suffered bad losses last week and are looking to bounce back here. Black Knights are looking for something offense as they didn't score a point on Alabama. Meanwhile, the Blue Raiders are trying to find something after losing to Michigan State. I personally think Middle Tennessee is going to pull off the win, as they do have some things on offense. You know, they were able to get points last week. Sure, it was 14 points, but points are points. And the last one, I feel like the big key game is between number 23 Mickey and unranked Georgia. Another tough early season test, this one pitting the ACC against the SEC. The Devils have things clicking on both sides of the ball, but the Bulldogs want to be ranked, and beating Mickey could help them out. It should be a close game in prime time, which sadly this is Georgia before they had the black jerseys, which I would personally put on them for this matchup. But and it should be worth every single second. I think Mickey will pull out the win in Athens and continue to try to claim the top of the ACC, something they have yet to do in 3 years of this dynasty. Maybe year number 4 will be the one? Only one way to find out. And that is it for this episode, and I will see you all next time.